Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Stickle. I'm also joined by my colleague Jose Levy. Jose will be today's presenter and discuss the topic of Predicts 2024 Navigating the Never Normal Strategies for Portfolio Leaders. This webinar is a new addition to our series of strategic portfolio management videos, so if you enjoy this one, feel free to watch the others we have available on our channel and look towards the next installment, which we'll be releasing soon. And as always, I hope that today's presentation grants you some insight into the world of project and portfolio management and gets you excited for the new developments happening within the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jose.
Thank you, Robert, and thanks everyone for joining us to talk today about navigating the never normal and strategies for portfolio leaders. So let's define the term. Where did we get never normal? So before never normal, we had new normal, and really new normal represented really the COVID timeframe where we were all remotely working. We had to accelerate digital transformation, especially for initiatives that were going to allow us to work during the pandemic. There were supply chain resiliency issues that we had to address, and obviously health and safety focused through our organizations. So now that we're past that, we've entered another cycle, which is the never normal. And that really is forcing organizations to have continuous adaptation, more focus on innovation, a more agile mindset. It's always been there, but now more than ever, because we have to be able to respond quickly to all these changes. And then finally, with the launch of generative AI solutions at the end of 2022, we're even in a different stage where all this disruption is occurring at a faster pace through the use of predictive analytics and AI. So this is really a condition that defines continuous disruption for organizations. And that's what we really want to talk about is, how that impacts portfolio leaders and EPMOs, PMOs, and how we can manage around it. So where are these conditions coming from? Well, to go deeper, whatever you're currently doing or your initiative said, you're going to have to manage these constraints that are going to be placed on your portfolios. There's technological advancements. I already talked about generative AI, but that's not the only one. There is economic volatility. The whole world was expecting a decrease in interest rates for the Federal Reserve. Well, I think it was this week, and last week we heard that that might not be the case. So how are your initiatives, how is your organization going to manage the potentially prolonged higher interest rate environment? How does that affect your customers? There's always regulatory changes, especially if you're in finance, healthcare, and technology, and you always have to be aware of that, and it could be impacting your initiatives. There's environmental, social, and governance factors. For sure, sustainability and social responsibility are issues that are forefront to some organizations. If you do business in Europe, for instance, this is a much bigger factor over there, and there's audits and ratings that you have to meet in order to comply with ESG initiatives. Market competition is accelerating, and we see that with, again, there's no application really that is not being considered to have some component of generative AI. So there's new business models that are being created out of the use of new technologies. So it's something that you're continually having to address. Geopolitical risk. I don't know if you've are you probably aware transportation costs are increasing due to the geopolitical events that are occurring. So does that impact any of your initiatives? Consumer behavior. read a headline on how TikTok is no longer is actually weaning off now. So from what was a very popular application, consumers are now moving away into other technologies and other trends. So, and then cybersecurity risks, they never go away. And every organization that we work with has a focus on it. So all of these, basically what you have to, the way to consider is if you look at the current state on the left, think about every one of your major initiatives, strategic initiatives in your organization. If you want to get to the desired outcome, how are you going to have to manage this disruption for every one of those initiatives? So for portfolio leaders, there's 5 recommendations, and we're basing this on Gartner's Never Normal. We happen to agree that these are the correct steps to take, and we'll follow by showing how one plan actually supports it. But the first one, it addresses embracing it. In other words, we can't run away from it, we can't deny it, we can't hide from it. You literally have to incorporate this never normal into your planning cycles. And staying agile is a big one. Can your organization actually turn on a dime, change on a dime based on the constraints that I listed before? You have to be in a position to do that. So you have to build that muscle, that capability internally. The second, accelerate change responsiveness. It's related, but it really, I think, has to do more with understanding that potential risk. Here's where portfolio risk management comes in, and then having a possible response for it. So in this case, the ability to do what-if modeling and scenario planning has been around for a long time, but I think here is where it could be a useful tool, where you have different what-if models based on the different scenarios that could come up on all those changing conditions. The third one, it's an oldie but goodie. We've had organizational change management for a while, and we don't pay enough attention to it. And most customers we come across, there's good lip service paid to it, but not actual implementation of change management practices. And here, what we're talking about is that the actual PMO and EPMOs will become more of change management experts, and we'll have to incorporate change management planning as part of major strategic initiatives. So basically going deeper on OCM and giving the PMO span of control for organizational change management. The fourth one I've already alluded to, leveraging AI for a strategic advantage. Again, that November 2022 moment when OpenAI came to the market, was pivotal in providing a capability to users in general, and making it available to be integrated into applications and in different scenarios. So if you're not doing it right now, this is something that you want to focus on, and we'll talk about how we support it through our Sophia GPT. I mean, the fifth one is really what it demands is for the PMO, EPMOs to mature into effective strategic portfolio management. And really what you have to do is build an improvement plan that incorporates all these capabilities. It's a phased roadmap over the long term in order to allow you to reach those, that state of a highly effective strategic portfolio management. So those are specific recommendations. Now, one plan is built as a strategic portfolio management platform in order to enable you into that high effectiveness. And we highlight here the 3 primary areas and personas that we address, which are business leaders that are defining goals and strategies. And this could be in different parts of the organization. It is not necessarily senior leadership teams, but anyone that has a business unit responsibility or P&L responsibility and is managing large sets of projects or strategic initiatives. And you've defined some objectives and key results, so you have some metrics in terms of your strategy. you could be managing ideation and demand, and that's what that circle deals with. The strategy component. That on the right we have the execution leaders. That's really the PMO, EPMOs, and you're focused on delivery, making sure that the outcomes are achieved from those strategies, having the right resources, managing execution to whatever level is required. And then finally, the functional leaders. We like to talk about IT because in the context of strategic portfolio management, application portfolio management, and enterprise architecture are critical. But here it could be also product leads. And what we want to do is establish the connections between these three realms and see how each impact the other. So that's really the goal of having an integrated strategic portfolio management platform that allows you to be effective in SPM. So I want to highlight, we just completed our customer event in San Diego. We hope that if some of you are on the call that were there, thank you for attending. And those that are about to be our customers, it's a great event to learn how to maximize the use of one plan to drive that highly effective strategic portfolio management. It was a really amazing set of speakers. Every one of them had their own organizational context and how they were leveraging one plan. I'll talk about a couple of them because I think they're interesting case studies. In the case of James Simpkins at Baptist Healthcare, his use of one plan within the IT PMO is integrated through all areas of IT, and it's a very collaborative effort that he's driving as a PMO leader, as a portfolio leader within the organization, to the point now where he's embarking even into enterprise architecture and trying to bring everyone into the fold through that capability by using one plan, by the way. Danielle Douglas's presentation was very impressive. She's using one plan as part of the PMO solution, and has extended into strategy execution. I thought it was a very impressive use of OKRs and sets of reports that she was able to develop as part of the solution. Every one of these presenters showed the strength of one plan in enabling strategic portfolio management within their organizations. The key takeaways for all of them that I think are great lessons learned in every single one. It was very impressive to see that the EPMO and PMO were considered a critical part of the organization. This wasn't just, okay, we need a solution to keep track of our projects. They actually were considered. They were actually integrated into senior leadership and had authority, support. The leadership teams can say, yeah, we support the initiative, the PMO initiative, but did they really engage and actually drive governance through the rest of the organization? And in all of these cases, you could tell that was actually taking place. The second and third are related, but they were really focused on improving strategic portfolio management within the organization. So yes, they had plans. In some cases, there were setbacks. That's fine. They just reset, replanned, and had very defined goals for improving strategic portfolio management as a capability within the organization. So in other words, we're going to work on this in order to add value to the organization. So and that's what's really driving their SPM PPM initiatives. And then the third one, I think in every case, they had a longer term phased roadmap for leveraging one plan, and they were leveraging our advantage services within one plan in order to support that long term phased roadmap. So very deliberate planning of how SPM was going to be implemented and adopted over the long term in a phased approach. So those are some key takeaways that drove the success of these customers. So what they are doing is actually making use of all the capabilities that we have, and in some form or other, because if they're not ready, if they're not ready from a requirement standpoint or organizational readiness, you don't have to use the entire platform. But OnePlan provides a comprehensive platform that allows you to cover all the elements of strategic portfolio management, from strategy to optimization, so you can get outcomes and changes to products, to services, to business value, to applications, to capabilities, everything we see here on the right. So we're planning strategy, defining where we want to go, executing in order to achieve that change within our organizations. And I'll go into this a little bit deeper, but it shows the breadth and depth of our capabilities in order to achieve that highly effective SPM. So if we go just a bit deeper in terms of the OnePlan platform, strategic portfolio management platform, what we have is a series of modules. The modules, have very specific features that our releases include from our product development team. We have very active release cycle within OnePlan and a very in-depth and comprehensive roadmap. Those are then bundled, configured into solutions, and the solutions cover all the myriad of use cases for strategic portfolio management, which could be applicable to your organization, what you're trying to accomplish, the problem we're trying to solve. It could be at the strategy level, OKRs in alignment to your initiatives. It could be adaptive portfolio management, where you're seeing agile and waterfall planning, or it could be agile, enterprise agile, where you're basically in a more than 50% of your projects are being done in terms of epics and features. But you can see that you have the flexibility to configure a solution to meet your requirements, and the breadth from strategy all the way to enterprise architecture. So that's why OnePlan is worth considering, based on that flexibility, based on the ability to meet you where you're at, and then evolve into the next state of maturity. I want to highlight that we recognize that there's many tools in some cases, or some organizations are using many different tools, and we have the ability to bring that data in through our OneConnect platform. You don't need any other solution in order to any other tool in order to drive those solutions that are highlighted here. But if you happen to be using them, and in most cases it's the agile tooling that is brought in, or the ITSM tooling, or the financial management tooling. Obviously, being a Microsoft centric solution, we do have integrations directly to the Microsoft planning tools. So again, more flexibility in order to give you a complete picture in that highly effective SPM. So let's try to come up with a action plan for the never normal. And this is where it gets interesting, because we have five recommendations, and what I've done is highlighted 5 different capability areas within OnePlan. The last one is more of it is a capability internally within our advisory organization within OnePlan, in which we support building that phased implementation and adoption roadmap. The further ones actually 1 through 4 actually address specific features, capabilities that we have within the tool. So embracing the never normal, the first item had to do with being agile. So what you could be doing in OnePlan is harmonizing agile, waterfall, and hybrid planning data, and focusing more on agile planning. So we have the capabilities, the features to actually drive that, and I'll show that in a couple of minutes. Accelerating change responsiveness. So here is where the what if modeling that I mentioned earlier, do you have all of the possible scenarios mapped out within OnePlan, within a OnePlan model, in case you have less resources, less funding for your projects. You could be doing that on an active basis within OnePlan Modeler. and specifically using resource plans in case of a reduced resource um, availability, and also in portfolio details by changing some of the prioritization and constraints that are there. Number 3 deals with organizational change management, and here it's a very simple, very small steps that can have a significant impact. Include organizational change management practice into the one plan configuration. So we have the ability to include templates, to include views, include details for each initiative, in order to highlight the need for those initiatives that demand it, have organizational change plans built within them, and that way you can cover that requirement. Leveraging AI for strategic advantage, what I mentioned already, one plan Sophia GPT. You could be developing a playbook for your roles and primary users, so they can use the Sophia GPT capability to make their jobs easier, faster, and focus more on managing the project and not managing content. And then finally, number 5 is maturing into highly effective strategic portfolio management solution. As I mentioned, and as our customers are doing, you build a phased implementation and adoption roadmap for one plan, and that way you ensure that you're covering all of the requirements for a highly effective strategic portfolio management solution. All right, so let's take a look at some of these, and I'm going to go straight into the tool. I highlighted that the first one is going to be within portfolio. This is a kind of our feature map that shows, again, from strategy to optimize, and all the different stakeholders that are personas that are provided capabilities within the tool. So we're going to go first into portfolio. I'm going to highlight how we have integration within our OneConnect platform. I'm going to then show how we provide resource planning, capacity planning for that change responsiveness, and the ability to see that within the what if scenario modeling. So again, to address that second requirement of change responsiveness, we need to have what if models created. The third scenario, organizational change management, I'm going to show how we've integrated, for purposes of this requirement, change management planning within our work plan, and also within our plan details and our portfolio view. The fourth one, Sophia GPT, I have some interesting demonstrations of Sophia GPT. And then finally, the change planning, I'll highlight a phase implementation plan and how that comes together. So let's go to our demonstration. Okay, so the first one, harmonizing agile and waterfall data. We have here our views. I'll go to my portfolio summary so you see how this breaks down. So we have my portfolio, which breaks into programs, which breaks into projects. And you can see here, first of all, that I have both waterfall and agile work being shown together. Again, trying to harmonize, bring all of that together within a central view. You can see that I'm integrating, in this case from JIRA data, and this is at the epic level. You can see that I also have projects from different sources, Microsoft Planner. I have another epic here from Azure DevOps. And really what happens is that I'm integrating the epic, but in our work plan, I'm actually bringing in the rest of the work items that are within Azure DevOps. And here you have the flexibility to map to the field set and any data that you have defined within Azure DevOps. And this is done on a scheduled basis using OneConnect. So here I'm showing how I'm bringing in that epic. If I was to do prioritization, for instance, just to highlight, again, harmonizing the data, I do have epics and projects, and I do have a prioritization score, but if I wanted to, highlight, this is part of some of these are epics, so I actually want to see what the WSJIT score is. where the shortest job first. For the so for my agile work, I actually see the epics. If I needed to have some lagging indicators, I think we have here ROI actually. Yeah, so I can bring ROI also. So again, this is part of that ability to bring in different data sets for both agile and waterfall in order to harmonize data and come up with what would be a ranking of the projects that I wanted to do. You know, and you could very easily do that here. Okay, this is number 12, but actually has a very high mischief and a very high return. I really need to bring this and make it, you know, part of my top 10. So this kind of brings the point home of, you know, harmonizing agile and waterfall data. So what I want to do next is deal with accelerating change responsiveness, and I want to use Modeler in order to do that. So in this case, we have a number of different scenarios that that I could be employing. And let me go ahead and open IT project planning for 2024. Now, I've gone through and actually created these already, but it's a process of actually you know, looking at what you're going to be managing a $10 million or $15 million scenario for IT. And I can actually compare. So in the event that we have less funding, I can actually try to see the details of each. Basically, in a reduced funding scenario, we are doing 10 less projects. So in the $10 million scenario that I'm showing here, there's 17 projects that were selected using a you know, in-out model. There's 18 that were reduced. So you could be creating these, you know, as needed. And we do have a board, by the way, for these. And again, in the spirit of being agile, if you wanted to actually do a lean portfolio management with the created scenarios, you can see that I can actually do, you know, I can toggle between my scenarios to see what's actually taking place, and I can see the funding that's occurring, you know, by each life cycle step. In this case, you know, this is by process step. Create, select, plan, manage, close, and I actually could go, if I needed to. Here's a project that's in red. I could actually go and try to find out exactly what's going on and why it's red. And it looks like it just turned red. So again, using the scenario planning capability that I've shown. If I go back to my list, just to highlight, in this $10 million reduced funding scenario, what is my resource load? So I talked about, you know, understanding your resources. It looks like we can actually achieve that. There's a problem here with one specific resource that's got 138 hours on this JIRA cybersecurity enhancement. If I needed to make a change directly to that resource assignment, I could come here and then go and impact or make a change to the resource plan directly. And that way I could resolve that. The other way of resolving it would be to resequence that particular project. So I could say, you know, well, if we moved it further in our planning cycle, you know, can we, okay, it looks like if I move it further, I can resolve it. This is an acceptable variance. So I'm going to go ahead and then save this as a new scenario, 10 million with balanced resources. So that was a quick way of showing how by having a scenario, again, in the event that we're in a reduced funding scenario, how can we execute on the selected projects, you know, very quickly balance the resources. So using what if modeling to give us that change responsiveness that we're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and get that, and then we'll go here to the next capability I wanted to address is really, we'll go here, go to our portfolio summary, enhance organizational change management. So couple of very simple changes. The first thing is you could include within our your enterprise data, we have a compliance view. And for those projects based on defined criteria, we could say, oh, do some of these projects, do they meet the criteria in order for them to actually require an organizational change plan? And so here, as part of the definition of the projects, I've actually highlighted the ones that I'm going to require a change management plan for. And again, this is part of implementing a larger process, but for tracking the projects that are actually going to require that, you could do that here. This is the compliance view that also shows governance scores based on variances with criteria that we've defined. But the significance of this is here, I'm going to require a change management plan in my data warehouse migration because of the impact it's going to have on the organization, which means that I could be adding that. So here's the schedule for my data warehouse migration. I could be incorporating a change plan as part of the schedule, which means that I could be inserting a template. So this is one of the configuration items that you could do in order to drive that that requirement, which is here. I have a change management set of templates, and I could select it and include it as part of the project. So it would append the change implementation change plan as part of the project. Now I have that. I have this, as part of an actual project here, so that we can we can see how that looks like. Here it is. Separately, by the way, if you wanted to manage the initiative of change management, you could do so. And here's that same schedule that could be appended to every project could be included here. And again, it's part of our template capabilities. Now, the other concept that we could include is if you had organizational change management tasks, you could actually include them within what we call our work types. So you can see here that we have the different work types: schedule, backlog, risk, but I've added organizational change management. This could be a tracker for actually developing that organizational change plan, all within the work plan of one plan. So again, two very simple steps that get us more in terms of meeting that requirement of organizational change. And by the way, there's a lot more to this. I'm not trying to, this is not the complete solution for doing an organizational change management. There's a lot more involved, but from a technology standpoint, we can meet the requirement. Okay, the next one is our Sophia GPT capabilities, and I'm going to go to my ideas because I'm going to try to see if we can filter through these and get a better sense of which ones are the best ones that are going to generate the most revenue. So here we have some data. That's really what's required here, by the way, to begin with. So we have a prioritization score here, priority category, and business unit. I would like to, let's see, let me add, do we have a description for some of these? I think we do, not for all of them, but that's fine. It will take it into account. So here's the description of the initiative. And I'm going to, let's see, let's go ahead and put a prompt. So let's use Sophia GPT. And this is what I was saying about earlier, that you could develop a playbook for every one of your personas and use cases. So when I'm going through and I'm trying to sift through all of these capabilities, what I'm going to do is first actually highlight. I'm going to ask Sophia GPT in this case, based on the description, category, and prioritization score, what are the top 5 ideas that have potential to generate most revenue and why? Display data in a table format. So let's see how this. I've tested this before, so it shouldn't take that long, but still, this is first line of analysis, which I think is really one of the greatest uses of generative AI and Sophia GPT. That underscores how can we sift through all this data in order to determine, in this case, which are the top 5 ideas that can generate the most revenue. And it is based on the data. So the richer the data set, the greater the analysis capability will be. In this case, it's a narrower set of data. You could very easily enhance it by including more from your business case. So here's going through. I think my table formatting. Oh, here we go. These 5 ideas have the potential to generate the most revenue because they focus on improving customer experience, streamlining process, and enhancing overall security functionality of the company's products and services. So it's actually giving me the rationale for why I should consider these as a top 5. Now, I can take this back and actually, validate on my own, but here I have, an initial set, based on the criteria that I've defined. So, thank you, Sophia GPT, for giving me that head start. Now, there are other scenarios, and I'm going to go. Let's go in and we have some additional scenarios that I want to highlight. So I will go and do that. So let's go and I'll go through these in a second just to describe it more. So which plans allow me to maximize benefit and minimize budget? So I have a IT alignment view that has a number of criteria. This is one of the prompts that's already embedded within Sophia GPT. So it's something that you can actually invoke at any time. And here it's taking the data and actually going through and giving me that that ranking. Maximizing benefits while minimizing budgets. And you can further, continue the analysis. In this case, which project should I cancel? And it's going to go through and actually tell me which ones, based on the criteria, should I cancel. And again, it's an initial analysis that then you can validate to make a final decision on why. And in this case, you would have a, again, the rationale for actually for doing that. This is an interesting one that deals with insights and trends from financial data. Now here we are within the one plan financial planner for a specific initiative, and it's going through and taking the budget in this case and doing an analysis of the budget and highlighting anomalies and insights that we can take in order to improve on the budget. And then furthermore, we can ask recommendations. In this case, the data is showing that there's personnel costs that could be reassessed, review budget allocation for critical phases, investigate the spike in the project manager costs for November 2023. So, and these could be items that we could be undertaking as part of our project management activities. In this case, we have an entire loaded committed resource plan, and it's a very simple prompt where you're asking Sophia GPT to tell you, okay, where which resources are in the red and why. And furthermore, the number of resources per role is being asked. So I think that's the more valuable one, where it's making an estimate again based on the deficit that the global summary resource plan is showing, where you could be, hiring. And here, obviously, the business analysts, but developers are really as in every organization, developers is really where we have the greatest deficit. So those are some of the more salient use cases, and just a little deeper description of, Sophia GPT. We were early to include generative AI into our solution within, the Microsoft ecosystem. We were first to market with it as part of a strategic portfolio management solution. Some key highlights. This is based on Azure OpenAI. So from a security standpoint, this is not open to the public. It's not in the public domain. It is within your own solution, and it's learning from your data, the same secure Azure-based platform that that has OnePlan's infrastructure. And you see from the examples that it's very intuitive in terms of giving you responses and allowing you to collaborate both from an analysis standpoint and a content standpoint. This is some of the use cases that we're looking to expand on. This is just the beginning for us. We will be automating a lot of the use cases with Sophia GPT, but as you can see, it goes from strategic planning all the way to work management. So we're going to try to hit all the major areas of strategic portfolio management. And then I think our last and fifth point has to do with maturing into a highly effective SPM, and there's no other way than actually planning for it. So you really have to develop that implementation and adoption roadmap. That's what our more successful customers are doing. So we highly recommend this. This is something that we can support with through our advisory services. It doesn't matter what stage of implementation you're in. In fact, you should be doing this on an annual basis in order to improve your SPM capabilities within the organization. It also helps to provide insight to leadership in terms of, if we want to get better at this, these are the things that we're going to have to do. These are the areas that we're going to have to improve. And by the way, it could include not only the OnePlan solution, but of course training and other investments in people internally, staffing levels within a PMO, in order to make SPM effective. So don't underestimate it, because it's probably the easiest way to actually get visibility with leadership in terms of what it really takes to be successful at strategic portfolio management. All right, so I'm going to be summarizing here. So we were talking about the never normal, and we're now in a state of continuous disruption based on all the factors that I talked about. You have to create an SPM implementation plan that can address them, and I've summarized them in terms of agile integration, what if modeling, organizational change management, and generative AI. As I've shown, and as our customers have shown, OnePlan provides that end-to-end strategic portfolio management platform to manage the never normal. And that really is what we're all about. We're investing in your success, and we want to make sure that you're able to demonstrate the benefits of using OnePlan for SPM in the never normal. I can't highlight enough, but leveraging AI for a strategic advantage, which is one of the 5 recommendations, is a critical action that you have to undertake. And in this case, Sophia GPT is providing that AI capability to meet the requirement. So we look forward to supporting you so that you have an easier time at managing the never normal. Just some highlights on OnePlan. We are recognized a market leader within the Microsoft ecosystem, project portfolio management partner of the year. Within Gartner, our own customers have highlighted again the success they're having with our solution, with our product, and then some additional industry recognitions of how our platform has evolved and continues to provide value to customers. I encourage you to continue to watch our webinars. We have one coming up on more on generative AI, embracing change, the impact of generative AI on strategic portfolio management, the topic that we've dealt with before, where we continue to go deeper into it. And then the rest of our on-demand webinars are also listed there. The solution that you saw is available for trial. So and they're open 7-day trials, and if you need an extension, you can get in touch with us, and we can support you going through it on a deeper level. The one that you looked at is a strategic portfolio management solution that that I was working with, but there's also other ones depending on your scenario. Please make contact. We have our trials I mentioned. We can do a road mapping, discovery workshop, or a personalized one-on-one demo based on your requirement set. So please, we are available to support you in understanding how OnePlan can help you. And with that, I want to thank you for your time and look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Thank you very much.